As the dust begins to finally settle on one of the most contested battles for the White House, Americans are beginning to hear allegations about possible corruption involving Hunter Biden, which implicate his father, but which had been previously suppressed by social media giants and many in the media. While Facebook and Twitter censored stories critical of Joe Biden's son in the lead up to the election, they were ignored or downplayed in the news, which justified the stance by arguing it's Russian disinformation, and the Department of Justice remained silent. In this special report, Sky News dives into the new details emerging about Hunter Biden, including a new link between his business dealings and his father, and the inaction by many in the media that may have been the ultimate form of election interference. Now that Joe Biden's path to the White House is clear, having officially been declared president-elect, his son Hunter Biden has been thrust into the spotlight. A month after the election, Hunter Biden revealed he's under federal investigation.
Joe Biden's son has revealed he is under investigation.
Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, has announced that federal prosecutors have informed him he's under investigation.
The 50-year-old confirmed in a statement that he has been contacted about a tax probe out of the US Attorney's Office in Delaware. I learned yesterday for the first time that the US Attorney's Office in Delaware advised my legal counsel, also yesterday, that they are investigating my tax affairs. I take this matter very seriously, but I am confident that a professional and objective review of these matters will demonstrate that I handled my affairs legally and appropriately, including with the benefit of professional tax advisors. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal that Attorney General William Barr, in the weeks before the election, instructed prosecutors and colleagues to stop word of investigations into Hunter Biden from becoming public, and keep the Justice Department out of campaign politics. President Donald Trump blasted Barr for not alerting the public about the probe, an investigation the paper said he knew about since at least spring. Trump described in tweets his big disappointment with Barr, and the big disadvantage his silence caused at the polls.
Joe Biden lied on the debate stage. He said there's nothing happening, and Bill Barr should have stepped up. All he had to do is say an investigation's going on.
Trump's remarks were quickly followed by tweets confirming Barr would be stepping down from his role just before Christmas. Tensions between the two reached an all-time high after the president threatened to fire Barr for failing to investigate Hunter Biden. The president wrote fondly of his colleague in the tweet, saying, "Our relationship has been a very good one. He's done an outstanding job." As well as Barr's silence over the election period, Americans spent the lead-up being told that details found on a hard drive belonging to Hunter Biden was disinformation from a familiar enemy. More than 50 former senior intelligence officials signed a letter outlining their belief that the disclosure of emails had, quote, all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. Joe Biden cited their belief, and he was able to escape scrutiny during the election by denying any wrongdoing.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
And Mr. Biden, what is your response to the New York Post story about your son, sir?
I know you'd ask it. I have no response. It's another smear campaign. Right up your alley. They're the questions you always ask.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had it. The only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
The FBI notified Congress in October that it has nothing to add at this time to a statement made by Trump's Director of National Intelligence, disputing the idea that Russia was behind the discovery of a computer that may have belonged to Joe Biden's son. Messages, and even a damning photograph of Hunter Biden allegedly using illicit drugs, were unearthed from the laptop that he dropped off and never picked up, which was then handed to the New York Post by Rudy Giuliani, Trump's attorney. In one email, an advisor to the board of Ukrainian energy company Burisma thanked Hunter Biden for creating the opportunity to meet his father, who was then vice president. And other emails showed Hunter Biden sought to use his father's influence to create business ties in China. The allegations, which are in contrast to the former vice president's claim that he never got involved in his son's business dealings, were so extraordinary, social media giants Facebook and Twitter sought to censor the story to stop it reaching voters. Their efforts left the job of informing American voters to outlets like us here at Sky News, at Fox News, or the New York Post, which in turn meant millions of Americans were kept in the dark before voting. Now, it appears the black hole in the media may have had far greater influence on the election outcome than any Russian interference could ever have dreamed.
We found out now the mainstream media had far greater influence and interference in our election than any Russian interference ever could have hoped for. I mean, the fact of the matter, there have been polls out now. A McLaughlin poll said that 36% of Biden voters had never heard of the Hunter Biden story because of the censorship and suppression. Of that, 13%, once they found out, said they wouldn't have voted for Biden. So that means 4.6% of Biden voters would not have voted for him. That means Trump would have won the election. That's the enormous influence that social media and our liberal bias media played on this election. Their interference just is orders of magnitude greater than any Russian or Chinese or Iran foreign interference in this campaign.
Take a look at how the media covered the news before the election.
It's a really fishy story.
The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks.
All the hallmarks
of a Russian
disinformation.
Russian disinformation
campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
Now, back to Hunter Biden and the federal investigation, which has been more extensive than his statement indicates. Specific details about what the Justice Department is investigating are still elusive, but several US media outlets have shed some light on the situation. Here's a look at what we know so far. Numerous outlets say the investigation was first opened in late 2018 by the Justice Department. Sources told CNN that investigators have been exploring multiple financial issues, including whether Hunter Biden and his associates violated tax and money laundering laws in business dealings in foreign countries, mainly China. The Associated Press says a subpoena issued to Hunter is seeking information about his work with Burisma, his dealings in China, as well as documents from more than 24 entities. Joe Biden is not known to be a subject of interest in the tax investigation, and it's unclear whether an investigation into Hunter Biden's laptop or the emails currently exists. But the FBI took possession of the laptop in late 2019, according to a computer repairman in Delaware who showed reporters a copy of a subpoena. More explosive than the details of Hunter's investigation, however, are new emails surfacing. According to one email obtained by the Daily Caller and Fox News, Hunter Biden sent a message to the general manager of a Washington, D.C. office building in September 2017, asking for keys to be made for his, quote, new office mates. Among them, the younger Biden listed his father, Jill Biden, Jim Biden, and a Chinese man Hunter described as an emissary of the head of Chinese energy giant CEFC. Joe Biden has repeatedly said he has not discussed his son's international business dealings with him.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
But the email indicates otherwise. If Joe Biden had nothing to do with Hunter's business dealings, then why did Hunter request his dad have a key to the office?
Vice President Biden has not been honest with the American public. He had to know about Hunter Biden's business financial foreign entanglements. There have been reports of the Bidens cashing in on the Biden name for many, many years.
I've heard Joe Biden say that he's never discussed business with Hunter. That is false.
Another email sent to Hunter Biden, obtained by NBC News and Fox News, showed he failed to report $400,000 of income related to his position at Burisma. The email, which neither outlet could verify, was dated January 2017, sent by the then president of Rosemont Seneca, and said Hunter Biden needed to amend his 2014 returns to reflect the unreported income. The business partner noted that Hunter made more than $1.2 million for the year. There's no indication that his work for Burisma is part of the federal investigation, but the email raises fresh questions about Hunter's tax affairs. Hunter Biden signed on as a board member of Burisma in 2014. He was paid between $50,000 and $83,000 per month, while his father was the public face of the Obama administration's Ukraine policy. A gig Hunter appeared to be seriously underqualified for. He left Burisma in April 2019. Hunter's time at Burisma is significant because, according to bombshell emails released in October by the New York Post, Hunter Biden introduced his father, who was then vice president at the time, to a top executive at Burisma. Biden's campaign has said there's no official record of such a meeting, but again, the email says otherwise. This alleged meeting in Washington, D.C. took place a year before the Democrat pressured Ukraine to fire its top prosecutor during an active investigation into Burisma and its owner. Joe Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion in US loan guarantees if Ukraine's leaders did not dismiss the prosecutor, according to a Senate investigation.
I said, you're not getting the billion, I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Joe Biden and his allies have maintained his intervention was related to corruption in the country and the prosecutor's office. Hunter Biden stands accused of using his influence in the Obama administration to interfere in the execution of policy and using his connections to the White House for personal and financial gain. The allegations are detailed in an 87-page Senate report, probing possible conflicts of interest in foreign business among the Bidens, which warned the family's financial transactions with Ukrainian, Russian, and Chinese nations raised criminal concerns and the risk of extortion threats. They discovered the Obama administration knew Hunter Biden's presence on the board was problematic and interfered in the execution of policy with Ukraine. Investigations involving Hunter Biden and recent emails present a new set of challenges for the incoming administration. Joe Biden has pledged to maintain an independent Justice Department, free from political influence when he takes office.
I'm not going to be saying, go prosecute A, B, or C. I'm not going to be telling them that's not the role. It's not my Justice Department. It's the people's Justice Department. So the persons I pick to run that department are going to be people who are going to have the independent capacity to decide who gets prosecuted and who doesn't.
The investigation into Hunter places increased scrutiny on Joe Biden's choice to run the Justice Department. Whoever is selected will face a cascade of questions from Republicans about the matter in the Senate confirmation hearing early next year. Republicans in Congress are almost certain to seize on the existence of the probe to further their argument that Hunter Biden's activities in China are a sign of his father's conflict of interest when it comes to dealing with foreign policy with Beijing. With William Barr heading for the door, his deputy Jeff Rosen will take over as acting Attorney General for the final few weeks of Trump's presidency. Trump is considering pushing to have a special counsel appointed to advance the federal tax investigation into Hunter Biden, setting up a potential showdown with Rosen, according to the Associated Press. Republicans on Capitol Hill have already called for the appointment. The last pragmatic act before Joe Biden takes over the White House could be the appointment of a special counsel to probe Hunter and ensure investigation goes forward unimpeded during his father's term. Philip Ritchie, Sky News.